Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In this video today, we're checking out a video titled 5 Weird Things About Life in Sweden. So I like these videos because I learn something new, and maybe I don't find it weird, maybe I find it weird, but it's not that weird to people living in Sweden. But let's get right into the video for today, and obviously go check out the original creator. I've reacted to him before, he does some really good videos.
While I come across things in my life that are just different. As someone that is born and raised in America for the first 22 years of my life and then moved to Sweden and am now a Swedish citizen, there's still things to this day that strike me as peculiar. And being that this channel is really focused on talking about cultural differences between countries, anytime I experience enough of these differences, I jot them down in my notes. And when I have enough of them all together, I bring them to you guys on this channel of things that I've noticed that are just a little bit weird, specifically in this video about Swedish society. So without further ado, let's talk about these things that are uniquely Swedish. This first difference is rather simple, but it can lead to a lot of confusion, especially this time of year, because this is the time of year where everyone is telling their employers what days or weeks they want to take off for vacation in the summertime. Well, we can leave aside the fact that people in Sweden get a lot more summer vacation or just vacation days in.
Okay, I think that's about the same as the United Kingdom, but compared to the United States, that's a massive difference.
General compared to people in the US, I've already discussed that on this channel, but in terms of actually reporting the days or weeks that you're going to be off, in Sweden, every week has a number. Whereas in the US, we simply don't number our weeks. And for me, this is very confusing when I ask somebody, when are you going to be off in the summer? And they say, oh, week 34 to week 37. I'm like, what?
Oh yeah, that is weird. We don't say that. We'll just be like, oh, when you off? And they'll be like, oh, maybe I'm off next week. Maybe I'm off in 2 weeks. People don't say week 36 or week 37 or what you just said.
Month is that? What days are that? Like, for me, coming from the US, it still causes confusion for me, which is quite funny. You'd think I would get used to it by now. The only time of the year where actually counting the weeks still makes sense in my head is like right after New Year's. I'm like, yeah, it's week 1, it's week 2, I can keep track. But this whole like week 35, week 37, the summer schedules, maybe it's not even 35, 37, maybe it's in the 20s. That just goes to show how clueless I am about counting weeks. So that to me is very different in Sweden. But if you're from another country that also counts weeks like this, let me know in the comments section, because I'm curious if this is just a Swedish thing or if it's just a not American thing.
I mean, I don't know if it's just a Swedish thing, but in the United Kingdom, no one says I'm on week 25, for example. But if you guys are watching this video, let me know what week it currently is in Sweden. I'm kind of interested about that. But yeah, that kind of is weird to me, but it does make a lot of sense. It's very logical, but as like an outsider, it's kind of weird.
The second one is pretty funny, but I think that this one also says a lot about the culture on a deeper level. And this is the concept of provanställning, or trial employment, if we would translate it into English. In Sweden, it's a lot more difficult to fire a permanent employee. Businesses have to document a bunch of things and jump through a lot of hoops if they want to fire someone who is underperforming. Generally, in the US, it's a lot easier to fire someone. Now, keep in mind, this could vary from industry to industry, but as a general rule, it's much easier to fire somebody in the US than it is in Sweden. But in Sweden, you have this 6 months of trial employment, and pretty much during this first 6 months of trying out a new employee, the business can let them go if it's not working out. It was quite interesting because we had a new employee come into our company who is just a superstar. She does such an amazing job at everything. And I remember she'd been working with us for about 5 months, and she goes, you know, I'm kind of nervous. I'm still on my trial employment period, and I have to stay on for 1 more month in order to convert it to a more permanent employment. And I thought to myself, you're doing such an amazing job. I don't think there's any reason that you should be worried about that. Then I got to thinking to myself a little bit about my own mindset and what it would mean to work a job in the US. And pretty much in that situation, your entire career is a trial employment period, because if you're not doing well, it's much easier to be let go. Whereas in Sweden, you have this sense of security once you're permanently employed, which you see translates to...
See, that's kind of like the United Kingdom as well. You have a lot more job security. Like, we also have a trial period. I don't know if it's 6 months really. I actually can't really remember because it's been so long. Like, I've been working for so long. But I remember there was a trial period, and then once you get adjusted, once you're doing a good job, they keep you on, of course. Because I started out as an apprentice. So my job was a bit different because I was like an apprentice. I had to do like a year of studying and working, and then I got offered a full-time job after. So I'm not really sure about the trial periods, but some people I work with were on the trial period. But I know it's not as easy to fire someone in the United Kingdom as it is in America. They literally say you're fired and then you have to leave. It's not that simple.
To a very relaxed and secure work environment in Sweden, whereas in the US, people are always pushing and working hard, working extra hours, going above and beyond outside of their work hours. So I think this concept alone and the fact that it's harder to fire someone in Sweden really contributes to this work-life balance that a lot of Swedish employees have versus the hustle mentality, which is really ingrained in American culture. This next one is something that I've never fully adjusted.
See, I agree with the Swedish and obviously the British way of doing it because you need job security. Otherwise, you're always going to be on edge. It's not a healthy way to live.
Adjusted to, let's be honest. Now, there are elements of this which are very nice. In the wintertime in Sweden, we all know that it gets very cold and very dark. But one thing that Swedes are really good at is making the meal times very cozy, very comfortable.
Oh, that looks so nice.
Light candles, make it mysig is the word in Swedish for making it cozy and a nice vibe. I, for one, really enjoy the mysig vibe. But the one area where I find that it can be a little bit strange is when it comes to eating meals. So imagine this. You're at home with your Swedish partner. One of you has been working hard in the kitchen for a long time to prepare a meal that looks absolutely stunning. You plate it up, you put it on your plate, but then right before you're about to eat, you turn all the lights off and light a single candle. This has happened to me many times, and I look at my plate and I can barely make out the food. I have to like sort of squint to try to figure out what is it that I'm gonna eat. This to me has happened time and time again throughout my time in Sweden. Although this mysig feeling is very cozy and it's amazing to light candles, I feel like I just need a little bit more light to enjoy my food properly. If there was a light with a dimmer switch, then maybe, not having it at the full dimness, but a little bit brighter. I don't want to eat in a completely bright room, and I think there is something to be said about a cozy ambiance, but I think Swedes are comfortable with having the light level a little bit lower than I'm comfortable with when it comes to eating. This next difference is...
See, I feel that would be so cozy though. I want to experience that one day. But yeah, I don't have the best eyesight, so I'll be looking at my food like, what's going on here? But I see where he's coming from, but it does sound like a really nice, cozy environment
very
to eat
interesting
food.
to me as someone that has just recently become a Swedish citizen. And that is the difference in if you were to say you wanted to give up one of your citizenships. The US is a country that taxes you over the entire world. I mean, there are rules in place that you can deduct some taxes from a country that you're living in against what you would have to pay in the US. But the US is a country that's very unique in that you have to file a tax return even if you haven't lived in the US for years and years and years. Just the fact that you're a US citizen means that you have to file your taxes there. So there's a lot of wealthy individuals that consider giving up their US citizenship, especially if they have another passport. I don't think I could ever give up my US citizenship, but out of curiosity, I looked into what are the implications if someone wanted to give up their US citizenship, or on the other side, if someone was Swedish and wanted to give up their Swedish passport. If an individual decides to give up US citizenship, it clearly states that you can never become a US citizen ever again. They sort of have this policy that you're either with us or you're not with us, and if you decide that you're not with us, then that's it. In Sweden, if you decide to give up your Swedish citizenship, it doesn't really seem like they're as harsh if you want to become Swedish again. Not only can you become Swedish again if you want to, but you'll actually be fast-tracked and have a faster process than people that have never been Swedish before. In terms of rules and punishments, the US can seem like it's a little bit more of a harsh culture compared to Sweden. Whereas in Sweden, things are just more relaxed and people are more forgiving. And you see also the difference in Swedish and American prisons, which I also discussed in a previous video on my channel. That said, the cultural difference...
Yeah, I've seen some clips of Swedish prisons, and they're a lot nicer than American prisons. You've probably seen videos from American prisons, movies about American prisons. They're like the last place you want to go to.
Differences are quite interesting. The last weird difference that I want to point out in this video is when it comes to advertising, and specifically when it comes to advertising alcohol in Sweden. According to Swedish law, you're not really allowed to advertise alcohol. So what do the beer companies do, or the alcohol companies in Sweden do? They advertise their product, which is 0.0% alcohol. I think it's kind of funny because everybody knows when you see an ad for Norrlands Gold, a 0.0, that it's just a way of their actual beer being top of mind, and it's just their way of going around the rules and, abiding by the rules. But it's weird because in the US, or most other countries, I believe for that matter, you can just advertise alcohol. It's not a big deal. But Sweden has a very special relationship with alcohol, and I've discussed this many times with their Systembolaget stores, their state-run liquor stores.
Yeah, I've heard about the state-run liquor stores, but you have to let me know, is it true that you can't advertise like beer adverts on TV? Because in the United Kingdom, you watch daytime TV, you watch nighttime TV, you're bombarded with casino adverts, gambling adverts, drinking adverts, beer adverts, vodka adverts. There's so many. Like, when you actually pay attention to the amount of stuff they're promoting like that, it's kind of crazy they're able to do that in like daytime, like 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
That control the sales of alcohol. And on the flip side, America is kind of weird how we have our commercials for prescription drugs quite often
that's
that
weird.
you can ask your doctor about, and then you'll watch a commercial and there'll be a big list of warnings and side effects that they have to verbally say on the commercial. I've never really seen a commercial like that in Sweden, but I do think it's a little weird that in Sweden they have these advertisements for 0.0% alcoholic beverages, and in the US it's weird that they advertise prescription drugs. So guys, those were the top 5 weird cultural differences that have been on my mind lately. Let me know in the comments down below which one you think was the weirdest, and if you think that there's anything that I missed in this video. I look forward to seeing you guys in another one soon.
I gotta say, advertising prescription drugs is way weirder than advertising 0.0% alcohol or 0.01% alcohol. That is just weird. Like, having prescription drug adverts on your TV, that should not be a thing. It's not a thing in the United Kingdom, and it should not be a thing in any country, if we're being honest with ourselves. And I have to say, some of the things like the weeks, like week 20 or week 25 of like, that is a bit weird. I agree with that. And also the fact that it's easier to fire someone in the United States than it is in Sweden or even the United Kingdom. I think that's good that it's harder to fire people in Sweden, because you should have some job security. If you're working a job, you should feel safe, secure. You're not constantly on edge. If you're doing something crazy in the workplace, like I don't even know what you could be doing, but something really, really crazy, then yeah, get fired. But I don't think it should be simple if you make one little mistake. I think you kind of need things in place to protect the workers. I definitely agree with that. And also about renouncing your citizenship. I feel like the taxes for the United States, like he was saying, you might want to give that out, but America, that's like a very valuable citizenship to have, of course. So let me know your thoughts about that point as well. But definitely some very weird things. I didn't find the things as weird as I thought I'd say. The main weird thing I definitely think is the weeks of the month. So if you guys want me to do more reaction videos like this, let me know. And let me know what week it is in Sweden right now. Is it week 30, week 35, week 29? Let me know when you guys are watching this video. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day, everyone.